If you're a pre-med freshman and have no idea how to get into your dream medical school, I'll share the 7 rules that you must follow. You'll learn exactly what AdComs care about, what mistakes to avoid, and by the end of the video, I'll hand you a 4-year plan you can follow to the T. I'm Mike. I've helped hundreds of pre-med students get into top medical schools like UCLA and UCSF over the last 7 years. Rule number 1, pain is temporary, but GPA is forever. To AdComs, GPA is a reflection of how well you can study. Obviously very important for soon-to-be medical students and doctors. And it's no secret how to study effectively. There are well-documented practices, everything from active learning instead of passive learning, spaced repetition, and things like the Feynman method. When I was a pre-med freshman, I watched one 3-hour video from Ali Abdul on how to study effectively. And these, to this day, are the same exact strategies I follow for all of my exams. Everything from Gen Chem finals to physics finals to the MCAT to step 1 and any anesthesiology boards I have to take. Take the time to learn how to study and take the time to ingrain effective study methods in you forever. They will pay exponential dividends. You'll be a professional student for at least another 11 years, so invest early in building that skill set. Here's a short exercise to show you just how difficult it is to bring up a lower GPA. Let's say you had a 3.733 GPA. It's a nice mix of A's, A-, and one single B+ in your Gen Chem. How many units of straight 4.0s would it take for you to bring your GPA to 3.9? Would it be 12 units or 1/4? Nope, that's just 3.77. 36 units, which would be an entire year's worth of A's? Nope, that would be 3.822. It would take you 144 units to get to 3.91 GPA. That is the equivalent of 4 straight years of getting A's. Now this works in your favor as well. Imagine instead you got A's on all your prerequisite courses and had a buffer of general education and 2 years of research courses you took for letter grading. If you got an A-, which is worth 3.7, remember, your 4.0 would go to 3.99. If you got a B+, which is a 3.3, your 4.0 GPA would go to 3.98. If you got a B-, which is worth 2.7, your GPA would barely go down to 3.96. Having a strongly buffered GPA is a cheat code. Rule number 2, know the rules of admission. There are literally hundreds of hours of interviews with real admissions committees that make real decisions on pre-med students every single year. I, alone and personally, have made hundreds of videos explaining every single component of the pre-med journey. Now, you could watch every single one of those videos and interviews, spending hundreds of hours, but what most pre-meds don't know is that the easiest way to shortcut what medical schools care about is to take a look at their secondary prompts. Here is Stanford's. Question 3 makes it clear that Stanford is trying to build the medicine version of the Avengers. They're looking to build a diverse class of doctors who are interested in academia, private practice, public policy, health administration, physician scientists, primary care, public health, and global health. And once you've put your foot down on the type of career you might have, they're gonna ask you directly to support that with the experiences that you have in your pre-med journey. This means that they're not really guessing who will become a leader in medicine. They're looking for pre-meds who have a proven track record of being leaders in public health or global health, and they're just really taking those students and going along for the ride. Question number 5 shows that they really want to get to know you. It's important for them to understand your background and the identities that you hold. And most importantly, they'll want to know how you've been able to advocate or support the communities that you identify with. Again, Stanford is looking for people to fill diverse spots in their class, and they're looking for people who have already been doing it as a pre-med. That is the easiest and most predictive factor. With how transparent medical school admissions is today, you can understand what you need to do and when you need to do it by quite simply. If you want to get into UCLA medical school on a no gap year timeline, you can't have a mediocre application compared to other real successful pre-meds who have gotten into UCLA. There's already a clear bar or threshold you have to meet. If you're looking for applications that got into UCLA, I have plenty. At least 4 of them in our application database have all been accepted to UCLA. Our application database is always available free in the description box below. And again, if you want to get into UCLA on a no gap year timeline, and it's fall quarter of your junior year, you should have taken the MCAT already. Part of the battle is knowing what you need to do. And later in the video, I'll show you how to do each of these things and when to do them. Rule number 3, impact above all else. Most pre-meds think uniqueness gets you into medical school, but that's not true. Impact is more important than being unique. Everyone has some sort of teaching and mentorship experience, myself included, but everyone is not Sal Khan, founder of Khan Academy. Everyone has some sort of experience with underserved populations, including myself, but not everyone has founded the I Promise Foundation, which funds a public school in Akron dedicated for students who are falling behind. Chase impact above all else, and at Pre-Med Catalyst, our favorite framework for doing just that is the passion flywheel. It all starts at the top with passion. If you're passionate about something, you'll spend more time on something. And when you spend more time in something, that translates to more skill. And the more impact you have in something often leads to more passion for that same thing. And around and around and around that flywheel turns. And I am not the only person who believes in this. In fact, I made an entire video outlining other admissions committee members who talk about the importance of impact and passion in admissions. And remember, part of being able to chase impact is to make space for it. This means that you'll have to say no to bad opportunities and sometimes even no to good opportunities. This will get you out of things that will drain your time and energy, so you have room for the things that you will be world class in. And please do not get caught up in trends. At the time of making this video, everyone is becoming an EMT. 3 to 4 years ago, every pre-med was part of a crisis hotline. While these things may be good opportunities and are popular and prevalent amongst your pre-med circles, they may not be the right opportunities for you, your theme, and your narrative. Rule number 4, you must know what good looks like. Yes, many top medical schools are going to want you to work with underserved communities. Your leadership position, where you handle one annual Panda Express fundraiser at your local AMSA chapter, is not going to cut it. And look, we've established that every pre-med needs to develop some sort of theme or narrative. And we've made it clear that being impactful is important to being competitive. But how impactful are you right now? How impactful do you need to be? I get it. It's a bit unclear and hazy. The best way to get a sense of what good looks like is to read real successful medical school applications. In our application database, which I've linked in our description box below, there are 8 full successful medical school applications. People who got into schools like UCSF and UCLA, all available for you to read and learn from. You'll even find my entire application with my whole personal statement and all of my extracurricular activities. Rule number 5, build a well-rounded and standout application. Too many pre-meds are one-trick ponies. They have one thing that they're good at, and the rest of their application are glaring red flags. Even if you're a fantastic researcher, you cannot let your GPA, letters of recommendation, and resume slide down into red flag territory. It's just not a good idea to put all of your eggs in your community service or your mentorship basket. You're applying to medical school and you need a foundation of clinical experience, volunteering, and research to make that happen. On the other side of things, you can't be so well-rounded that medical schools aren't really sure who they're getting. Your dream medical school is looking for the next generation of leaders in medicine. And your application must take a stand and say, this is my lane, this is what I'm special at, and this is the level of impact that I can have on a community or a problem in society. In today's admission environment, you have to be both well-rounded and on top of that, focused and world-class at something. Again, you don't have to be a master at everything, but you should be good enough at everything so that there is no singular red flag that gets your application automatically rejected. Rule number 6, remember that there are only 6 levers in your control. Your GPA, your MCAT, your extracurriculars, your letters of recommendation, your school list, and your written application. To be clear, outside of those 6 things, nothing else in your control matters. Now, don't get me wrong, there are other factors that affect your admissions odds. Things like your state of residence, your ethnicity, the undergraduate institution you graduated from. But those are not considered levers because you can't really change things like your ethnicity. And even if they did matter, if I told you that transferring to Cornell would give you some sort of a boost, would you uproot your entire life at UCLA and transfer to Cornell for some questionable admissions boost? And even if you did decide to do that, the opportunity cost of transferring all your credits, getting used to a new community, restarting all your extracurricular activities would probably do worse for your overall admissions odds. So ignore the noise. Focus on the fundamentals, and those are your 6 levers. Raise your GPA. Protect the appropriate study season for your MCAT. Focus on building a thematic, cohesive narrative with strong, impactful extracurriculars. Build strong relationships with faculty members that will go to bat for you. Spend 0 time on anything else. Ignore everything else and just focus on those levers. And finally, rule number 7, start with the end in mind. If you know when you want to put on a white coat and start medical school, it is really easy to build backwards and figure out your timeline. In fact, I've made it really simple. I've made a plug and play 4-year template that you can use immediately. It's linked in the description box, and it starts with when you want to put on a white coat. Let's say you graduate in June of 2028 and you want to put on a white coat in August of 2028. That's a no gap year timeline. That means you'll have to apply to medical school 1 year earlier, sometime in May or June of 2027. And of course, because you followed our advice and have protected a full-time summer, 8 to 12 weeks, to study for the MCAT, you'll have taken the MCAT prior to the start of your junior year, sometime in August or September of 2026. And then all the puzzle pieces fall in. If you want to take the MCAT by September of 2026, then slot in your biology series, your chemistry series, your organic chemistry series, your physics series. There's not that much room for those classes. Conversely, other classes don't really matter. And if that feels claustrophobic and suffocating, you don't have to take no gap years. You can open up the space by adding one. And if you do that, move everything up 1 year and just see how much actual time you get to complete the things you need. Having a 4-year timeline is easily the most impactful resource for any pre-med. And when you combine what you need to do, which you've learned from my videos or interviews of real admissions committee members, with how well you need to do it by comparing your application with application of real successful medical students, and understand when you need to accomplish all of those things by creating an intentional 4-year plan, you have all of the ingredients of a competitive medical school application. 4-year plan in the description box below, and here are 2 videos that I've created on how to take your specific journey and build a customized 4-year plan for yourself. Those are the 7 rules pre-med freshmen must follow to be successful. If you ever need any support, our contact information is down below. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.